Guys, have you ever had trouble when you're cutting your hardwood, getting straight cuts, making perfect boards, ending up with these ridiculous dips and waves that you're going to get? And actually, those boards are not quality. And you've got 10 times harder to work with. And today, we're going to show you about a carbide blade. And is it worth it when you're cutting your hardwood? About a carbide in the tips, how this blade runs. I guess first we're going to do is start what the differences is and how a carbide blade is constructed compared to a normal blade that you're actually, or a carbon blade that normally you're going to get with your sawmill. But these blades here are actually brazed on. So it's a carbide tip, somewhat similar that's in your circular saws. So you know how long those blades last. The durability of having the carbide blade is you're doing a whole bunch less sharpening, and you're going to get about, I want to say 10 times, and I don't want to exaggerate, so I'm just going to go with 8 times the amount of cutting through hardwood than you're going to do by the time you actually have to sharpen. So by the time you actually sharpen that blade 10 times, it's worth one blade. You get a bunch of sharpenings on this, and we'll get into that at some point. But these blades right here can be ordered any degree. Could be 7, could be 10, could be 14, whatever you like. This happens to be an 1.5-inch band, meaning that the band itself is slightly larger than the 1.25 inch that standardly comes on these smaller mills. But if you're doing specialty cutting, you can actually find what's exactly good for you and what works best with your mill. Okay, so for guys that don't know, and I'm talking about the degree, that's going to be the angle of the actual cut of the tooth. So as you go, well, let's say a 14 is going to be better for softwood, for cedar, like that. 10s, I do fine in 10s with my oak. 7s are even better. I've heard of guys with extreme hardwoods even getting them down to 4 degrees. So the harder the wood, the lower the number. That's how a band is actually going to be picked for your sawmill. These blades also come in multiple thicknesses, 042, 045, 050. So it's any combination of what you could get, depending on what you're cutting and what you like. But really, the difference between this blade, I'll throw this up here, Jay.
Throw it up there.
And the standard blade, which you guys have all slide down. So there's the difference between the 1.25 inch and the 1.5 inch. Now you can see that these tips, it's just one carbon steel right there. So it's just bent back and forth. So as you know, the teeth have to be set, one left, one right, one in the middle. Every time you sharpen, you have to do that. It's another task. That is not necessary. I'm going to get rid of that already. Everybody knows that that's not necessary with these. These teeth are not offset. And you're going to see that you're actually, it's going to remove all of the sawdust between the pieces of wood that you cut. It's going to cut it smooth. It's not going to cut it any faster, but it's going to be smoother. So we'll make a few cuts through this oak right here. And we'll show you what a carbide blade can do. Guys are always asking me how to set up for a carbide blade on your sawmill. And quite honestly, it's the exact same thing. So we're putting our band on, getting our tracking perfect, depending on the thickness of the blade you get, or if you actually go from 1.5 or 1.25 inch, you need to adjust your guide bearings here. I mean, this is on a Woodland Mills. We're on an entry-level mill. You're running a high-dollar blade that they're actually going to use on these $100,000 mills. But it actually runs perfectly, and everything is adjustable for you to make that happen for you. But the thickness of the band and the width of the band is all going to be dependent on the size of the machine you have. If your machine gets smaller, your wheels are smaller, you're going to want a little bit of a thinner band because of the flex into it. So other than that, it's the same setup, and there's nothing more to say. Me, when I actually level out my mill, I'm gonna measure if I ever had a tape to check. I don't have to look for the low tooth. Everything is equal there. You're gonna actually get a smaller curve and no sawdust to scrape off, which is key. And we're cutting, this is a dried piece of pin oak. Hard, hard, hard when it's fresh. I hope this is a good demonstration because I know this baby is hard. So we're gonna just skin ourselves off a half-inch piece or so off to get rid of the drying stuff. And we'll see what that looks like.
This one's going to be a test. That's some hardwood.
It is hardwood.
It's looby.
With these blades, guys, and I hear everybody, I don't use lube, I don't do that. Drip, drip, drip. Now, open that thing up and let it run. You're cooling the blade, you're cooling the tips, you're cleaning out what you need to do. Don't mess around. Get some water on that thing. It isn't going to hurt. It isn't going to make the wavy cuts like you have guys saying. It's not going to make your bands blow off. It's going to keep your carbides lasting longer.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing. So we're just going to peel off a half-inch of this dry board to get down to where we need to be, have a nice straight cut. And let's see how this blade runs. That was smooth through there, my friend. I know it's just an edge cut, but that's hard oak. Flip this open. Let me see what this looks like.
They look very non-dramatic.
Then we'll check the cut. So there you go, guys. So you have minimal sawdust here. I mean, you have to have a little bit, your blower, you're good to go. So there is how a fresh cut is actually going to happen with a carbide blade.
That looks pretty nice.
It's flat. Guys, you can tell by the first cut how smooth, like butter. Next time I cut, watch my machine. There's going to be no shaking, which actually helps with the maintenance of it. It's not, rocking back and forth trying to make its way through. It's cutting smooth. Look at this wood, okay? We do this because we use this in our timber frames. We don't have to plane beams. It takes a whole step out of my procedure. I mean, it doesn't cut flat. It cuts ridiculously flat.
Nice.
Okay, these are beautiful cuts. We'll cut another piece. We'll show you the board thickness. You don't have to deal with waves. I don't know if you've ever actually planed beams that have waves and how much of a problem it is for the wood and your machines inside and the blades, which aren't cheap anymore.
And Jason.
And Jason.
That's hard work.
So that's how a carbide blade is going to cut dried oak, dried pin oak.
How'd that feel?
It's smooth. It's smooth. I mean, I love sawmilling with a regular blade. I love sawmilling with this blade. I mean, you see, it's effortlessly. But you're not pushing. Let's see what we got there. Oh, got a pretty good board. So you see the sawdust you have is minimal. I never not use my $5 floor scraper. But there's your board. It's perfectly flat. This one, no water. Let's check on the cut on that.
Let's check.
Because
It looks
it's
pretty.
beautiful.
Looks pretty good.
It looks good. Now me, you can tell, if you come down, I cut every beam, I run my hand down it. Jay thinks I'm crazy, like, I don't know, am I holding hands with the wood? I can feel if I've got a little bit of an issue. I mean, I'm going to say right here, but there's a hair, this knot. Yeah, no. It's just,
Very minimal. Very minimal.
it's right there. Flat boards, actually going to be high quality boards.
Look at that
I don't
cut.
know. You tell me if it's worth it.
I know the answer, Dan.
Answer's coming, Jay. Now I know you're wondering about the durability of carbide blade when you hit a little bit of metal. Now us, we don't get a lot of nails. Now we did clip our post completely off and not know it. But my friend from George, Middlefield Custom Sawmilling, uses the same exact blades that I use. And he has a video of pine logs and cutting metal. And he saws through 17 different nails and completes his job. So if you guys have ever hit a nail with a normal carbon blade, you know, in 2 seconds, yeah, garbage. So these things, I don't want to say, hey, don't worry about cutting through nails. We try to avoid it, but they cut through nails and you keep going, guys. And that's how it is. So the durability of these things is absolutely incredible. And way to go, George, for testing my blades, my man. I always give him my blades to test because he finds something to run into.
If this were the 80s and video games, he'd have high score.
He has high score. George Middlefield.
Top score.
Okay, guys, this is not the first time that we've tried carbide blades and we're showing you. I mean, realistically, look at this. This is just a piece of the stacks of wood that we have. This is the stacks waiting to get into the kiln while there's packages like this all over my property. All of this is hardwood. Everything. Everything's been cut on a carbide blade. So we've run these things through the test. So after cutting with, I'm going to say exclusively carbide blades now. And I know everybody is like, oh my God, I could buy a blade for $27 or a blade for $100. And some of these blades I've seen up to $200 a piece. The longevity that you're going to get from a blade like this is 10 times the value. So if you put your $22 blade times 10, quick math, Jay.
$222.
Holy smokes, you got it right.
Hey!
So for me, guys, the longevity of it, the way that it cuts, the availability to continue to sharpen these things, it's a no-brainer for me. When I say is it worth it, if you're cutting wood and you're cutting a lot of wood, hardwood, it's worth it.
I knew that was going to be the answer, Dan.
It's worth it.
Totally worth it.